Intraventricular tumors are another class of lesions, go over based on location. This is a choroid plexus, probably a choroid plexus papilloma. These can be very bloody cases, and usually you have to find really a main feeding vessel to really get control of this. These are very commonly associated with hydrocephalus. Some people think it's because the tumor produces fluid. Other times it could be obstructing the normal flow of fluid. This is a lesion. The pathology came back as central neurocytoma. There are other similarly shaped lesions, such as subependymal nodules or subependymal giant cell astrocytomas, sagas. So really a host of lesions that are found in the ventricle. Sometimes with very large ventricles and smaller lesions than this, you could approach them endoscopically, meaning coming with a camera through the CSF and ventricle. Other times you cannot. So now we're going to take a look at the posterior fossa. So the differential diagnosis here varies based on the age of the patient. So for adults, by far the most common lesion is a metastatic lesion. So really the top three things in your diagnosis should be metastasis for anyone who comes in, an adult with a posterior fossa lesion like this. This was a gentleman, very heavy smoker, in his 50s, I believe, who came in with balance issues. And you can imagine with compression of this fourth ventricle, his developed hydrocephalus. Also in coordination, which makes sense that this affects the cerebellum. So this patient had a resection, and again, showing this more just to show that metastasis is really the top of the differential. So for adults, the second most common lesion is a hemangioblastoma. This is actually a low-grade lesion. They come in kind of two different flavors. The more common one is this one, where there's a very bright nodule, which is a vascular lesion, and it produces a cyst fluid. And with surgery, this can be a cure for the patient if this mural nodule is removed. Really, you do not have to go after the walls of the cyst. Once the nodule is removed, the cyst fluid doesn't get produced, and you could really help a patient with this one. This is a more solid appearing one. So this one is cystic. Less common is a solid appearing hemangioblastoma. These can be very difficult to take out surgically. They're almost like an AVM. They're very highly vascular. In this patient, we got an angiogram and ended up embolizing about a third of this lesion. And again, very similar presentation of hydrocephalus and incoordination. So things like finger to nose was off. So in children, a completely different differential. Some of the most common ones are JPA, so juvenile pilocytic astrocytoma, shown here. Similar to hemangioblastoma, it has a mural nodule and then a cystic component to it. Very common is medulloblastoma. This arises from the roof of the fourth ventricle. And then ependymoma. Some people call these plastic tumors in that they actually take up the shape of the ventricle and sometimes will go out those foramina that we discussed early on, foramina of Luschka, for instance, and could involve some of the lower cranial nerves. So again, something I think is useful to know for differentials when dealing with tumors in different locations. Here's another location. This is a tumor in the brainstem. Now in the past, these were called DIPGs, so diffuse infiltrating pontine glioma. Some of the WHO criteria has changed, and usually these are called diffuse midline gliomas. They usually have a characteristic histone mutation. Unfortunately, these tumors are somewhat difficult to treat. These tumors are usually lower grade, but they intermingle with many of the normal neurons in the brainstem, such that if you were to do a surgery, you would have really unacceptable amount of collateral damage. So these are not usually resected. More frequently, though, they're biopsied. So this patient underwent a right frontal biopsy where we passed the needle down from the top of the head all the way down, which is always a little bit disconcerting. But we got a good sample of tissue, and based on that, we're able to identify some gene mutations to enroll her in a clinical trial. Really, the cornerstone for this at this time is radiation treatment, but it's definitely an area of active research.
Hey everyone, Ryan Rad here from Neurosurgerytraining.org. If you like that video, subscribe and donate to keep our content available for medical students across the world.